Hi everyone, this is Irisha Suhaimi, and today I will be going over my Crude and Products Weekly Dashboard. So on the first page, we've got my market synopsis, and this basically comprises of my weekly market news updates in the past few weeks since the first week of school. And the way that I've structured it is I've got summary and opinion at the top, followed by four sources: EIA, Enverus, oil price, and John Kemp from Thomson Reuters. And essentially the main recurring theme, or opinion I should say, of the past few weeks is that I've personally just been bearish on oil, especially with the recent news of coronavirus. I definitely think that prices probably won't recover anytime soon since the way that they were at the beginning of the year. And moving on to the next tab, I've got fundamentals. And essentially this page consists of all the core components that really drive the oil and gas industry. And since this is the fundamentals page, I'll go ahead and say the recent data for each one, starting with crude production. So we're sitting at 12.9 million barrels per day. It's a slight decrease from the prior week, but a significant increase since the past year. And of course, this is mainly due to an increase in well activity over the years. Next is refinery input. So we're sitting at 15.9 million barrels per day. It's a slight increase from the prior week, but relatively consistent since the past year. Next, we have gasoline production, which is sitting at 8.9 million barrels per day. It's a slight increase from the prior week, but relatively consistent since the past year as well. On the second row, we've got weekly petroleum imports. This is sitting at 6.6 million barrels per day, a slight decrease from the prior week, but a decrease from the past year. And then we've got petroleum exports, which is 3.4 million barrels per day, a slight decrease from the prior week, but a decrease from the past year as well. And then lastly, in this row, we've got diesel production, which is also known as distillate. It's sitting at 4.2 million barrels per day, a slight increase from the prior week, but relatively consistent since the past year. In the final row, we've got UA crude per day, also known as unaccounted for crude oil, also just a balancing item. It's sitting at 349,000 barrels per day, a slight increase from the last week, but significant decrease since the past year. Next is the crude oil stocks, which excludes SPR. It's sitting at 435 million barrels per day, a slight increase from the last week, but relatively consistent since the past year. And last but not least, we have stock change. It's sitting at 479,000 barrels per day, slight increase in the last week, but significant decrease since the past year. And then on this page, I got spot price, which just includes the price and news from Markets Insider. And then in the forward curve, I've got the main forward curve at the top from 2017 until the most recent. And as you can see, we're hitting the lowest of the low, and people are forecasting that lower prices will come in the decades. And this largely correlates with these two forward curves, forward charts that I have. And so this is the Soleimani strike, and then this is the coronavirus news. So this happened first, right? So Soleimani, we started off in gray, and after the news came out, prices went up, and then shortly after they went down over here in these blue and black lines, but largely doesn't correlate with the Soleimani, but rather the coronavirus news. And so, going to this chart, we see that orange is right before the coronavirus news happened, which correlates with this one over here. And after the coronavirus news came out on Bloomberg Terminal, traders started selling these futures, went down to the pink, and then finally to these blue and black. And to be honest, after doing some research, this is largely due to the fact that it was after Lunar New Year and Chinese traders just kept selling the futures, and coronavirus news just began to intensify. And in the next page, I've got my stocks. So I'll briefly go through all of these. In the crude stocks, we got positive change moving up. Gasoline stocks, relatively consistent, slightly moving down. Diesel stocks, negative change moving down. Ethanol stocks, negative change moving down. And then in the next page, we've got residual stocks, which is a negative change moving up or moving down. And then propane stocks, we got positive change, slightly moving up. Jet fuel stocks, also known as kerosene, is recovered from late last year, but slightly moving back down again. And then other stocks, negative change moving downwards, definitely not looking too good. And these next tabs, I've basically just got a bunch of websites that kind of back up my idea on the bearish move. And then in my last page, just wanted to show you guys, I've got a live coronavirus update from Johns Hopkins, just so you can see kind of where they're hitting at. And yeah, so hope you liked the video. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer them. Thanks.